Here we are with the Shape tool. We're going to try this out, explain a few things. It's pretty straightforward. It's usually a rectangle initially on your toolbox. You can hold that down and choose the ellipse tool, which is for circles and ovals. There's a few other options here. You may have more or less options based on your version of Illustrator, but generally the rectangle and the ellipse will constitute most of what we would probably use. Okay, so I'm going to start out with a box. And that gives me, as usual for a vector graphic, a stroke, and there could be a fill in there. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that with black because I'm doing all my logos as black and white. Okay, and I could turn that stroke off if I want to. Okay, so there is a shape that I can use to manipulate into what I want for my logo. Okay, I'm going to do another one. Let's do an oval this time, or an ellipse. If I hold the Shift key down, it'll draw a perfect circle. If I don't, it will take on some something out of proportion from a perfect circle. Usually, the rectangle does that as well. If I hold the Shift key down, it makes a perfect square. If I don't, then it allows me to move it and create a different proportional rectangle than just a square. Okay, so there we go, and that constrains the shape when I hold the Shift key down. All right, so one thing about our shapes here, the stroke color, I'm going to make it black. I'm going to make the interior just empty. Okay, so here I have just a stroke. And this has, as usual, anchor points and curves in between those anchor points. You can see the 4 anchor points on here with the paths in between them. Okay, and that's something that the direct selection tool can manipulate individually. If you want to click on the points, you can manipulate them individually. Okay, using the white arrow, the direct selection tool. Okay, another thing about the shape tool, if I just click, if I've got the rectangle version selected and I just click over here and let up, it comes up with the box that lets me type in exactly what I would want for my shape. If I want a shape that's 2 inches, 2 and 14 hundredths of an inch, then I can do that. Okay, and let's say I want it 1 and 64 hundredths of an inch, then that gives me that actual box. Okay, so that's what I've got there, and that can be a very precise way to create a shape if you know you need a certain particular size, or you have a general idea and you want to you prefer to use that technique to create your initial shape on the screen. Okay, again, this square is manipulatable based on its anchor points. Okay, its individual anchor points using the white arrow, the direct selection tool. These shapes have a fill color that can be filled with anything, any color. Okay, I'm going to stick with black and white because that's how I'm going to do my logos. Okay, and that's how the shape tool generally works. You certainly could use one of the others. I'm going to do a star, and there's my star to start with. Okay, now this is something that actually I could use this polygon, this direct selection tool to help me make adjustments on this star with individual anchor points. Okay, and that is a way to manipulate a determined shape and customize it for what you want to do. Okay, I'm going to show you a few other things about this. Scissors tool. Let's look at that because that is perfect for working with shapes. Okay, I'm gonna do this shape right here. I'm going to take away the fill color, and I'm going to get the scissors tool, and I'm going to touch it right there, and I'm going to click it, I'm not touching it. I'm clicking it right there. So this is the top of this has become separated from the bottom of this sort of eggish kind of shape. Okay, now this the selection tool will select the entire section and move it. The direct selection tool, if I click on something and start moving it, it's gonna move an individual point or an anchor or a path. Okay, don't want to do that. So I'm going to stick with just the plain black selection tool and use that. I'm going to rotate this. Okay, now we do have some transform tools, but the general just the selection tool is enough to in Illustrator allow us to rotate and do some transforms to these shapes. Okay, so I'm going to get my pen tool and start adding some points to this. Now let's try to get this started. And you can see I've found the point, and I'm going to create the shell of an egg, the top of an egg. Okay, now I need to do the bottom part of this, and I'm going to click on one of the end points here and go from there so I can continue that path as one shape. Okay, and there's my my broken egg. Okay, and I'm going to rotate that just a little more. Okay, I'm going to have to find something to put in this egg for my logo. Okay, not sure what, but at any rate, that kind of works for showing you how you can add to a shape using the pen tool, as long as you click directly right on the anchor point, one of the ending anchor points for the path, or for the group of paths that maybe don't close each other, especially if you've used the scissor tool to break them apart. Okay, all right, so that's a nice technique. I like that. I'm going to show you something else, and this is available for you. It might be a little advanced, but it'll give you something to think about when you're doing your logos. Okay, maybe some things will pop into your mind that you'll be able to work with. So I'm going to create a circle. I'm going to fill that. In fact, I'm just going to fill it with solid color and no stroke around it. Okay, and I'm going to do a square inside of that, or at least smaller than that, and I'm going to move it over to the inside of that circle, and I'm going to transform this, and I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees. So it's in a perfect 45-degree angle within that circle. Okay. Now this is something. Now you can color that white. You can fill the color on that white, and it looks like this. Okay. Now that works pretty good. I don't know what I'm going to use that for, but it might be useful for a logo. Okay. Could put the type in here perhaps, but this will not allow me to see anything behind it. The white shape covers up the black shape, and the black shape covers up whatever's behind it. Now one thing that you can do with this, and I'm going to show you this, is go up under the object menu, and in here there's an option called compound path, and you can do what's called make a compound path. Now that doesn't look like it did anything right there, okay, but what it did was knock out the one from the other to the point that you can see through this now. Okay, and that's a nice technique to be able to use. I'm not sure what we need that for, okay, but if I wanted to put a face, say, maybe inside there, and maybe put, I don't know, maybe it could be a robot. I'm not really sure what all I would want to do with that. I'm going to copy that, copy, and paste, and that puts me another circle in there. I'm going to treat this like an eyeball, and there I got a couple of them. Okay, let's get them all. There we go. Put them back here. Send that to the back. Object, arrange, send it back. It's behind the rest of this shape, as you can see. That's going to cover up. Okay, but it's kind of got a nice little, maybe a little feel to it for a logo. Okay. All right, and that's something to look at. All right, now I believe that's just about everything I need to cover at this point for the shape tool. There are different ones here, and there are different techniques you can use to work with the paths that create these shapes. I'm really looking for something, a graphic that represents your business that can integrate well with text, perhaps be part of the text, like one of the one of the prominent letters of the name of your business, something like that, or something that represents your business. I'm not sure what an egg would be, what kind of business that would be for, but I'm sure there's some that it would work for. So that is the shape tools in Illustrator.